Hello students, I'm Dr. Himanshu Kandpal, Assistant Professor English, Government MS College for Women, Bikaner. Today we will study the poem The Sunshine Cat written by Kamala Das. Renowned for her honest and fearless exploration of the female psyche and sexuality in her works, Kamala Das is regarded an iconoclast way ahead of her time who unlocked a space for women to finally speak of their desires and voice out their angst instead of feeding into the four walls of marital and household duties. The poem Sunshine Cat is taken from the collection Summer in Calcutta, written in 1965. Sexual humiliation, which forms the main theme of Kamala Das's autobiography, My Story, is the central experience herein. It recounts the tale of a woman too much wronged by the male world around her. In the beginning lines of the poem, they did this to her, the man who knew her, the man she loved, who loved her not enough, being selfish and a coward, the husband who neither loved nor used her, but was a ruthless watcher, and the band of cynics she turned to, clinging to their chest, where new hair sprouted like great winged moths, burrowing her face into their smells and their young lust to forget, oh, to forget. And they said, each of them, I do not love, I cannot love. It is not in my nature to love, but I can be kind to you. So, the persona in this poem describes her sexual experiences with her husband and with other men and expresses her feeling of complete disillusionment with all her partners. The persona is most probably Kamala Das herself. The poem directly highlights the miseries of a fallen woman. The man treated her very badly. The man who came in her life treated her very badly. The man she loved did not reciprocated her feelings, and they were basically selfish and coward. She was in need of solace. She was in need of care, but they treated her in a wrong manner. The husband, the husband also, who neither loved her nor used her, but who was a ruthless watcher and was also made of same grain. There was no understanding between her and her husband. Her husband showed himself to be a keen and relentless observer. In sheer desperation, she has acquired other lovers and tried to share emotional bond with them. But what she got, she did not got she did not get any kind of solace from any relationship she had. The band of cynics she ultimately turned to for her emotional gratification were all selfish and egoistic. These cynics, with hair on their chest, subjected her to all kinds of humiliation and torture, including physical and odorous. Their smells were sickening, and they were mostly driven to her for quenching their raging lust. So it was her disgust with her husband which drove the poetess to have extramarital love affairs. But even these other men with whom she slept proved to be most disappointing because of their selfish attitude towards lovemaking. Those lovers were younger than herself, and she tried to make them forget everything except the act of lovemaking, but each of them told her they could not love her, though though he could be kind towards her. Thus, even they provided with no real satisfaction, and she could only shed tears over her disappointment. Moving to the next lines of the poem. Okay, we can say that all of them assured her to be kind towards her, but they also pointed out to her that she was not meant for love, suggesting thereby that she was probably frigid and cold and ill suited for love making. They let her slide from pegs of sanity into a bed made soft with tears, and she lay there weeping, for sleep had lost its use. She was not able to have any sound sleep because of her disappointment with those lovers. She wept so profusely that she could have built walls with tears, walls to hold her like a prisoner. When she got out of their clutches, she retired to her room, to her soft bed, and started sobbing and weeping. She now realized that her tears were her trusted companions, and she would have to pass the rest of her life in a sad and hopeless manner. At this moment, when she needed the love and consolation of her husband, he also treated her with cruelty. I shall I shall build wall with tears. She said walls to shut me in. Here the writer feels like that, says that I shall build wall means she thinks that only the tears only the tears were her trusted companions. She said she will build wall with tears, walls to shut me in, so that nobody is going to nobody is going to nobody is able to uh, see her in that condition. Nobody is able to feel what she is feeling at that moment. Her husband shut her in every morning, locked her in a room of books with a streak of sunshine lying near the door like a yellow cat to keep her company. But soon winter came, and one day, while locking her in, he noticed that the cat of sunshine was only a line, a half thin line, and in the evening, when he returned to take her out, she was cold and half dead woman, now of no use at all to them. The poetess' husband was so cruel to her that he used to lock her in a room containing books every morning and used to unlock the room only when he returned home in the evenings. A ray of sunshine fell at the door of that room, and this ray of sunshine was the only company she had. That ray of sunshine looked like a yellow colored cat, and that was the poetess's only companion. Time passed, and when winter came, the sun's ray lost its brightness because of the cloudy skies. The sun's ray was now reduced only to a thin line as thin as a hair. And the poetess herself had now become so thin and dull because of her chronic depression and despondency that she felt herself to be half dead and therefore no longer an object of sexual desire on the part of any man. And soon winter came in, and while locking her one day, her husband realized that this woman was a mere skeleton, a hair thin line, and no human creature of flesh and blood. By the time he returned to her in the evening, she was cold and half dead, quite unfit for touch of a man. The disease hinted here is that of serious nervous breakdown. So, in this poem, the situation of poetess's utter loneliness and frustration with no one to counsel or guide her has been beautifully portrayed in the present poem. She has not received love from anyone, and she is totally lonely and frustrated. Those who claimed to be kind towards her had only subjected her to humiliation and injury. Her husband had been no better to her. He rather uses his matrimonial prerogative and shuts her in the reading room. She is thus completely isolated, and the only companion for her is the sunshine. She is no better than the sunshine cat, all pale and diseased. That is why the title of the poem is suitably chosen to be the sunshine cat. Here we can see the title is suggestive enough. It rather works as a symbol for her total isolation in the midst of material comforts. We can see that cat may also signify the healthy and exuberant sexuality with which we normally associate this animal. Taken in this light, the poetess's life, overbrimming with sexuality, finds no true source for fulfillment, and it is therefore becomes all more measurable and deplorable. The last line in particular and the tenor and temper of whole poem is general verify this fact now of no use at all to men. So we can see the poem is pervaded with the air of lust and passion. We can say that the poem is pervaded with the air of lust and passion, but we can also say that the poem is real expression of poetess's emotions towards her wanting of one relation that could understand her and her feelings. The poem is full of beautiful expressions, and the poet is at her best here. One such, we can say, there is visual arresting expressions in the poem. One such impressive expression is the men's chest where new hair sprouted like great winged moths. Another remarkable expression is I shall build wall with tears, and this wall will effectively shut me in. A third expression of visual imagery is a yellow cat, which makes us remember the writer T.S. Eliot, who had beautifully used the cat image in the beginning of his immortal song, the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. So, this is all about the poem Sunshine Cat, written by Kamala Das. So, we can see that her poems are autobiographical in nature, which show that love, sex, and marriage and companionship are important themes to her. On her own self-discovery, she expresses the different layers of hypocrisy, though she is bitterly criticized for that by the high priest of morality. In this context, Hari Mohan Prasad and Chandra Prasad state in their edited volume Indian Poetry in English, her poetry has been often considered as a gimmick in sex or striptease in words and overexposure of body and snippets trivia. But the truth is that her poetry is an autobiography, an articulate voice of her ethnic identity, her Dravidian culture. A poet's raw material, she says, is not stone or clay. It is her personality. I could not escape from my predicament even for a moment. This is all about the writer Kamala Das and the poem Sunshine Cat. Thank you.